Okay, let's unpack this. We are undertaking a pretty serious deep dive today into the world of business transition.
Mhm.
And specifically, we're tailoring this for those of you running your companies using the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS.
Right. The focus is really sharp here.
Yeah, exactly. Our mission really is about maximizing your ultimate exit value. And we're looking at a highly structured approach, the step-by-step exit system, or XSSE.
SxSE, yeah.
Now, if you've spent years building your business on that EOS foundation, getting your VTO right, hiring the right people, running those killer level 10 meetings, you might think, hey, I'm like 80% ready to sell.
That's a common thought. A dangerous one, maybe.
Well, yeah, because the material we're digging into, it emphasizes this really critical, sometimes kind of painful distinction. Exit readiness isn't just about having a profitable company.
No, not at all.
It's about cultivating a stronger, more resilient, and actually more valuable business today. And crucially, one that doesn't need you personally running everything.
That's the absolute crux of the entire SxSE model. So we're here to distill that core philosophy. And we're going to focus on two, non-negotiable elements.
Okay.
First, the mental transformation the owner has to go through. And second, this essential structure called the 6-1 framework of advisors.
6-1 framework. Got it.
Yeah. And this framework, this team, is really what turns a successful, well-run EOS company into something else. A highly transferable asset that, premium buyers will actually compete for.
And it's interesting how this whole thing seems grounded in, failure, right?
Right.
You mentioned Gino Wickman's experience.
Absolutely. Wickman, the creator of EOS, he's very open about it. Selling a company is scary, it's stressful, it's deeply emotional. He actually starts by detailing how he sold his first company completely all wrong.
How so?
Just no plan, the wrong team advising him, totally reactive to everything, just a mess by his own account. Yeah. And that really painful experience, especially when contrasted with how he systematically sold his second company, slowed down, stayed in control, that contrast really underscores the whole reason for SxSE existing. This isn't some academic theory. It's a practical fix for the chaos of a bad exit.
Wow. Okay. That personal story really grounds the urgency, doesn't it? It forces us and you listening to confront this undeniable truth. Every single business owner, without exception, is going to exit someday.
It's inevitable.
And you either consciously orchestrate it, plan it out, or you face a sudden, likely chaotic departure, often forced by what the sources call the 5 Ds.
Ah, yes, the 5 Ds. And that is, frankly, a terrifying list for any owner. You've got disability, death, disagreement, divorce, or distress.
Any one of those can just appear.
Exactly. They can strike at any moment. And the instant one of those Ds hits, if you're caught unprepared, the fallout is immediate, and it can be devastating.
What kind of fallout are we talking?
Well, think about it. Financial instability, potentially for your family. Huge instability for your employees, the people who rely on that business for their livelihoods.
Right.
And potentially the destruction of the very legacy you might have spent decades building.
So it's basically saying, look, life might throw a curveball, a catastrophe even, and if your business is totally reliant on you, that personal crisis instantly becomes a financial catastrophe for everyone connected to it.
That's the risk. It cascades.
Okay, to really make this concrete, let's talk about the case study you mentioned. These two entrepreneurs, David and Sarah, both running thriving, say, $10 million companies, both using EOS, both profitable on paper.
Right. Similar businesses, superficially, but their exit outcomes couldn't have been more different. David.
Well, David assumed his strong P&L meant he was ready for a premium sale.
Makes sense from his perspective.
From his perspective, sure. But when he actually went to market, the due diligence process, it just ripped him apart. It quickly exposed him as the absolute central cog.
Meaning everything ran through him? Everything. Major operational decisions, key customer relationships were all personalized, tied directly to him. And his financials? Fine for taxes, maybe, but totally inadequate for sophisticated buyers.
Yeah.
They needed JAP-level reporting, verifiable data,
So David just hit a wall.
Completely. Months of frustrating back and forth, an offer that came in substantially below what he expected, and then kind of the worst-case scenario for many owners.
The earnout.
A demanding, multi-year earnout provision. He was basically chained to the business post-sale, working harder for potentially less money. And naturally, his key people. They sensed the instability. They started heading for the exit themselves. Customers, too.
Oof. Okay, so contrast that nightmare with Sarah.
Right. Sarah approached it totally differently. She started the SxSE process a full 3 years before her target exit window.
3 years, that's proactive.
Very. She proactively assembled her 6-1 advisory team. The legal, the financial, M&A, the whole group. She systematically went through, identified every single area where the business depended on her, and then transferred that knowledge, those critical relationships, onto her leadership team, empowered them.
And the financials.
Crucially, yes. She invested early in cleaning up her financial reporting, getting it buyer-ready before buyers were even knocking.
And the result?
Preparation absolutely paid off. Sarah's company went to a competitive auction. She got multiple offers, several exceeding her target valuation, and maybe best of all, a clean break. Deal closed within 120 days of accepting the offer.
Wow, just clean.
Clean. Done. The chasm you see between David's exhausting discounted exit and Sarah's premium success, it wasn't luck. It wasn't even really superior business performance day to day. Their companies were similarly profitable.
It was the prep.
It was deliberate, systematic preparation. That's the benefit of this readiness. You get higher business value, sure.
Yep.
But also, you get more personal freedom right now, even before you sell. You massively reduce your risk against those 5Ds. And honestly, you just get better peace of mind.
Okay, so if the operational side is humming along with EOS, the real challenge then shifts, doesn't it? It moves inward to the owner.
Exactly.
To get that Sarah-like result, you need this internal shift. You have to consciously evolve, move from being the primary operator, the visionary founder who's always in the weeds solving urgent problems.
Right, fighting fires.
Yeah, to thinking and acting like an astute owner-investor, the architect of a machine that runs itself.
That's the goal. Architect, not chief mechanic.
Stepping back, though,
Yeah.
It sounds great in theory. But for a visionary who built this thing from scratch, isn't that almost impossible? I mean, how do these sources advise actually physically delegating yourself out of the day-to-day when you are the institutional knowledge?
That is often the single hardest transition. It's not flipping a switch. It's a methodical process. You need to replace yourself on the accountability chart, piece by piece. First tactically, then strategically.
Okay.
You have to shift your focus really exclusively to working on the business, not just in it. And yeah, that often means delegating tasks you love, decisions you used to own. It feels weird. But this shift, it's non-negotiable because buyers just operate with entirely different criteria than owners do.
Okay, so let's talk about that buyer perspective. We know EOS businesses run tight, right? They use data, accountability. So if a business is already hitting its rocks, IDSing problems effectively, what specific blind spots do EOS operators still miss when they try to pivot and think like a bio?
They often miss the depth of the risk assessment piece. Owners tend to focus on revenue, profit, growth. Buyers, they look hard at future potential, yes, but even more so at risk mitigation and the sheer ease of integration and transferability.
So what drives value up in their eyes?
The key value drivers buyers pay premiums for. They pretty much all circle back to predictability and, crucially, independence from the owner.
Okay, like what specifically?
Specifically, sustainable and predictable profitability. Not just one good year, right? A consistent track record. They demand clear growth potential avenues they can easily see and execute on post-acquisition.
Makes sense.
Crucially, strong management depth. A capable, fully accountable leadership team reduces that key person risk we talked about with David.
Right. The bus factor.
Exactly. And of course, a stable, diversified customer base. No single client being too large a percentage of revenue. And finally, well-documented, efficient systems and processes. Scalability. There's a powerful quote in the material that sums it up nicely. Buyers buy people and processes. That's really it.
People and processes. Okay.
Which means the flip side, the value killers. They must be devastating. If buyers walk into David's situation where heavy owner dependence is number one, they just immediately slash the offer, don't they?
Yeah.
Immediately. 20, 30, sometimes 40% discount right off the bat. Heavy owner dependence is probably the universal killer, but equally damaging. Inconsistent or sort of opaque financials. That's where David stumbled.
Right, the gap issue.
Yeah. Also, weak or incomplete leadership teams. If the second tier isn't strong, the buyer sees integration headaches and risk, and any lingering unresolved legal or tax issues. Those are huge red flags during due diligence. Basically, if the business can't function smoothly without the founder's input for, say, 90 days, its value just plummets.
Okay, so beyond the nuts and bolts, the financial prep. The psychological complexity of selling sounds monumental. The material really spends significant time on this emotional journey, dealing with identity concerns, legacy anxiety, and this idea of a purpose vacuum.
Oh, that vacuum is incredibly real. Think about it. For decades, maybe, the business was the structure. It was the purpose. Often it was the primary source of identity for the founder.
Yeah, I'm the CEO of X Corp.
Exactly. And when that's suddenly gone post-sale, the owner can be left with this profound lack of direction. It sounds great, I'll go play golf, but that wears thin fast for driven people.
So what happens?
Well, if you don't plan for what comes next, if you don't proactively work on separating your personal identity from your business identity before the sale, you risk massive emotional fallout. Or sometimes worse, you might unconsciously self-sabotage the sale process because deep down, you don't actually want to let go of that identity.
Wow. So it's clear this isn't just a financial transaction, it's a fundamental identity shift.
Wow.
Okay, so while the owner is grappling with that, sorting out their next chapter, transitioning into that owner-investor role, the business itself needs this team, right? This team of high-stakes experts to handle the operational and financial complexities. You just can't navigate that legal and financial minefield alone.
Precisely. You absolutely cannot. And that need for coordinated external support leads us straight to the 6-1 framework. This isn't just, a random list of people you won't call. It's presented as a necessity, a specific team of 6 trusted advisors.
6 key roles.
6 key roles required to proactively navigate the complexities and maximize that exit value. And the emphasis, again, is on proactive, starting years before the potential sale, not months.
Okay, let's walk through who these 6 are and maybe tie it back to, how they could have helped David avoid his mess.
Sounds good. Let's start with the legal advisor. Now, this role is far more than just drafting the final sale contract.
Right.
Their job proactively is to optimize your legal structure years in advance, strengthen every contract foundation, things like assignability clauses, making sure IP ownership is crystal clear, basically ensuring clean corporate housekeeping.
So like tidying up the legal closet.
Exactly. Remember David? He likely had messy contracts or maybe unclear IP ownership that blew up in due diligence. The legal advisor finds and fixes that before a buyer ever sees it. Eliminates that headache.
Okay, number 2, the M&A transaction advisor. This is often the one people think of first when they think, sell my business.
True, but their role is much broader than just finding a buyer. This is your chief negotiator, your market expert. They provide realistic, current market valuation opinions.
Which prevents that unrealistic price expectation like David had.
Exactly. They create the professional marketing materials, the confidential information memorandum, the CIM. They orchestrate a competitive auction process, bringing multiple qualified buyers to the table if possible. And critically, they negotiate the complex terms, protecting you from those punitive earnouts or scary indemnity clauses.
Got it. Okay, 3rd. And this seems critical to avoiding David's financial chaos. The financial advisor.
Absolutely essential. Their role is enhancing your financial reporting so it's truly buyer-ready. Often that means ensuring adherence to GAAP standards, not just your internal bookkeeping methods.
And the QOE.
Most importantly, yes. They prepare the company for the quality of earnings report, the QOE. Think of the QOE as like the deep financial x-ray that happens before the buyer even shows up. It normalizes all the owner-related expenses, discretionary spending. It presents a clean, accurate picture of the true underlying profitability that sophisticated buyers trust.
So it removes the ambiguity.
Completely. It eliminates the uncertainty that always lowers offers.
Makes sense. 4th advisor.
Your tax advisor. And here, money saved is genuinely money kept.
How so?
Well, this person needs to move way beyond just filing your annual taxes.
Meh.
It's about strategic planning for the exit. Their job is to optimize the tax structure itself, analyzing the huge difference between, say, C Corp versus S Corp implications in a sale, modeling the impact of an asset sale versus a stock sale.
To maximize the net proceeds.
Exactly. To ensure you maximize your net after-tax cash. A really common, painful mistake is discovering after the deal is signed that you could have structured it differently and saved millions in taxes.
Ouch. Okay, number 5, the wealth management advisor. Their work starts way before the sale closes, right?
It should. Ideally, their work starts almost the moment the M&A advisor is hired. Their focus is purely on your post-sale life and handling the transition of what could be enormous liquidity.
So the what now, plan for the money.
Pretty much. They develop a comprehensive personal financial plan. They model long-term risk mitigation strategies for the proceeds. They help design a lifestyle budget that reflects your new reality. They ensure the sale actually achieves the financial freedom you were aiming for.
Right, so the money lasts and serves its purpose. Okay, and finally, the 6th advisor. This one might surprise some people. The personal coach. This isn't about business strategy, is it?
No, it's entirely about identity and the emotional journey. It addresses that unavoidable non-financial complexity we talked about earlier, the purpose vacuum, the identity shift.
So what does the coach actually do?
The coach helps you clarify your post-exit identity, helps you transition from being the CEO to maybe just the owner or whatever comes next. They actively guide you in designing that next chapter, finding that new purpose. They often use frameworks. The source mentions the 10 disciplines, for instance, to help you maximize energy, maintain inner peace during what is a really stressful process.
And prevent that self-sabotage.
And help prevent that unconscious self-sabotage, yes.
Okay, so 6 key advisors. But the real power, as you noted earlier, sounds like it's in the integration of this 6-1 framework. They can't just operate in silos.
Absolutely not. That's the one. In 6-1, they operate as one coordinated team. They must communicate. And ideally, they use the existing EOS rhythm you already have.
Like the ROCs and L10 meetings.
Exactly. The quarterly ROCs planning, the VTO updates, maybe even leveraging the weekly IDS meeting structure for the exit project. They systematically identify and address the value gaps and risks found through readiness assessments. It becomes a dedicated project run with the same discipline as any other critical business initiative.
Right, run on the business, using the business's system.
Precisely.
Okay. So let's try and bring this all together then. The main takeaway seems to be that achieving this state of exit readiness, it's not a last-minute scramble before you call a broker.
Definitely not.
It's about disciplined, continuous improvement. It's about leveraging the operational excellence you've likely already built with EOS, but then layering on the strategic foresight that comes from a fully coordinated advisory team.
Well said.
And here's something I found really powerful. The discipline that's inherent in becoming exit ready today, it inherently improves your operations, your profitability, and frankly, your personal freedom right now, regardless of when or even if you ultimately sell.
That's a fantastic point.
You end up building a stronger, more resilient, less owner-dependent business for yourself, even if you decide, you know what, I'm going to keep this thing for another decade.
That's absolutely right. So what does this all mean for you listening? The sources, particularly that David and Sarah story, they illustrate it perfectly. The difference between David's really difficult discounted exit and Sarah's clean, high-value break. It wasn't really the quality of their underlying business day to day.
It was the prep.
It was the quality of their preparation. And that preparation fundamentally shifts control from the buyer back to you, the seller.
Which leads us to maybe a provocative final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. We've touched on this idea that even substantial financial success from a sale rarely guarantees a truly fulfilling post-exit life. Because, as the sources note, human beings are wired for purpose.
We need something to drive us.
So, if you start shifting your mindset today, if you actively work on separating your personal identity from your business identity, and you consciously begin planning for your next purpose, your next chapter, how does that process itself potentially transform the valuation you actually need from the sale, and maybe even the type of exit you pursue?
That's a deep question. Does chasing the absolute highest dollar matter as much if you already know what fulfilling thing you're moving towards?
Exactly. Something worth contemplating, perhaps, as you look at your rocks for the next quarter.